my god, I love this keyboard. I had already owned the Moog Sub Fatty and happened to go into Guitar Center, walked over this. I literally just played a few notes and I was like, shit, now I have to buy this thing. It was just like an immediate attraction. If you haven't played this before, maybe I'd recommend not playing it because you're going to be stuck buying it too. I'll do a review on this sometime because it's just a beautiful, incredibly well-designed instrument. Now, just as a disclaimer, the sounds I was making on this, at the same time I'm playing the sounds from the Moog, I'm also triggering these ones, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works here. Well, okay, enough about the Moog. This is an episode of Force Fridays. My name's Jonathan Hadel, and I make music as Pink Buddha, and this video is part of a series that is all about the Force. If you've missed the other ones in the series, click on the link up here. Today we're going to talk about how to use the Force to control external MIDI instruments and how can you use external MIDI instruments to control the Force. So let me walk you through what I'm doing here. I'm coming out of the Sub37 from MIDI directly into the back of the Force, the MIDI in, and when you do so, as long as the channels are lined up, anything I play here, if I was to turn the volume down, you can see the notes light up over here as I play the Moog. Now, what I could also do is turn that around. I was going to hook both the MIDI out from the Moog into the Force and the Force MIDI out into the Sub37, but there's something wrong with this one. And I spent about 20 minutes trying to troubleshoot. Finally figured out it was this damn thing. But anyways, I'll attend to that later. Another thing I have going on is that the audio out from the Sub37 here is coming directly into the Force. So I'm not only using the Sub37 to control the Force to play some sounds, and then the sounds from here are going into the Force, and it's all mixing together. It's amazing. Getting external audio into the Force is actually really easy. You just simply create a new track, select an audio track. I have to go to the mixer and then do inserts in and out. And this is where I can control the input, where it's coming from. Right now, I just have this going into input 1. I could have another keyboard going into input number 2. And then you just want to make sure that you have this little icon lit up there, which allows you to hear what's coming in, sort of like a pass-through. I'm going to go ahead and delete this track because I'm not really using it. Okay, so you got that. I just go into audio number 1, make sure I select that, and that's how track number 5 is configured. Now, the one downside about the Force is that whatever you have plugged in as an external MIDI track is going to go directly to whatever track you're selected. So if I go back to this hype sound and I move to another track, it stops playing that particular sound, which drives me crazy because I don't know why that they can't have it configured so that when you have an external instrument that's playing, it could come in on a specific channel, and then you could have that controlling a particular track, let's say, and be able to move around so that I could have drums. And then I should be able to play maybe this hype that I got going on, and at the same time that I'm playing something here, that would be how you'd want to do it. But instead, they both play the same damn thing. Like, how is that useful? Akai. Sometimes the design thinking is just really flawed. So you have to understand that if you're going to use an external keyboard, that it is only going to play whatever track you happen to be on. So just be prepared for that. Now, one thing to note is that if you have audio coming from an external instrument like I do here from the Sub37 and that's going into the audio track, that's going to continue to play through no matter what I'm doing with MIDI. So if I was to plug this into the MIDI out here and so you hear what's happening here, I'm playing the drums. I'm playing the Sub37 and the audio from that is going into the Force. So things can get a little tricky if you aren't paying attention to how you're putting this together. Another way to configure this is to go MIDI out from the Force and then MIDI into my Sub37. And in this situation, and if I go to this other MIDI track that I created, you simply go to here, create a MIDI track, and then double click on it to determine which channel that you want to go out of. Weirdly enough, now I could play the Sub37, both of these kind of at the same time. It's like having an extended keyboard or something like that. Now, what I might do though, which I couldn't demonstrate today, unfortunately, because of my stupid MIDI cord not working, but which is to come out of the Sub37 to use this as a keyboard, record the MIDI notes into this other track, and then have this MIDI track play the Sub37, in which the audio goes out to this other track over here, and then you record the audio. That sounds a little confusing. I understand it can be. The only reason that you might do that is if you're someone like me. I'm a keyboard player. This is acceptable, like I can get by, but really I like to play on a keyboard if I want to play in some sort of bass line or something like that. So what gets a little tricky is that you can run into some problems with MIDI feedback. Just like you have audio feedback, you can have MIDI feedback, which means that I'm sending MIDI from here into the MIDI track, and the MIDI track is simultaneously sending MIDI into here, playing those notes. Yeah, it can create a mess. So usually if you're going to do something like that, you need to adjust the controls of your external synthesizer to turn off local control so that when I'm playing the notes, it's not going to play the Sub37 internally. It will send only the MIDI out, which will go into here, and then it will come out of here and back into this place, and that's how you avoid the MIDI feedback loop. And maybe it's fine that I don't have that MIDI cable working to be able to show you this, because in some ways that's very specific to the Sub37 and how I would go about changing it to turn off local control. If you just understand that phrase, turning off local control, that's a thing you might need to look up on your own synthesizer or whatever external gear that you're going to use. All right, let's have a little fun with this and make a track. I'm going to go to my MIDI track over here. Now I'm going to put a beat down first. Let me fix up the audio on this a little bit. Let's put a little drive on it. I don't know why whenever you put a compressor on this thing that it starts off at the threshold outrageously low. I always have to go in there and change it. All right, let me find a good sound on here. Okay, so here's something that you might want to do. When you're using an external synthesizer, you can take one of two approaches. You can just record audio from here into the Force, or you could also program some MIDI notes to play this. I'm going to do a little bit of both. This particular sound, I don't really want to try playing this on the MIDI track because it's just not idiomatic to what I want to do. I like to be able to play this. It's more natural to me. And I want to be able to change some knobs and stuff like that. right, hold on a second. I had a technical glitch and some of the things that I recorded myself doing got erased. So I'm going to catch you up to speed here rather than try to redo them. I took the clip that I recorded that whole part and trimmed it down just to the last 8 bars because that was the part that I liked. So it sounds like this. Okay, then I went into that individual track and I added some delay. I'm actually going to back that off a little bit. It feels like it's a little too wet. Okay, then I put the mother ducker in here too because I wanted that bass drum to kick against it. And then you have to go into the pad mixer for the bass drum part here and then go to an insert for volume and then the inserts here, and then make sure you put in the mother ducker input, and that makes sure that it goes to bus number 1. So when I go back to my mother ducker on the, I don't even know what to call that synth sound. Anyways, it's coming from bus number 1, so now when it's playing, it's going to compress that a little bit. Okay, I like that better. It ties it together. So now let me set up a MIDI track on here that will play the Sub37 while I am also playing that audio track that's there. First of all, because the audio from my Sub37 is going into the Force, I need to create another audio track. So let me go ahead and do so. I'm going to change the inputs to input number 1. And then I got to make sure I turn this little speaker icon on so it comes through again. Now let me find a new sound on here. That's cute. Actually, I might record a little audio because that sounds pretty cool. But it's way too dry. So I can go in here and put some effects on it. I'm gonna let's put an analog delay on there. This is the nice thing about routing your audio from something like the Sub37 into the Force, and that you can then use all the effects on here too. I'm just gonna record a track from that. Let's go back to my matrix view. Make sure my record arm is on. So I got to go to the mixer and then turn this off so that it will play the track and not what I'm playing over here. Alright, I need a little bit of stuff with this master track. It's kind of getting to me. I'm going to get rid of this EQ. I'll leave the filter on there, but I do want to put a little bit of a compressor on this whole thing at the end just to glue it together. Not that much. I just want to get that maybe like 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, that's cool. Now let's go back. I got to put another audio track on here now. Let me go back to the mixer, make sure I go to input number 1, turn that back on so I can hear what I'm doing. Good enough. Okay, so go back to our MIDI track here. I'd rather play it over here. In fact, let me just actually show you how that works. I'm going to go MIDI out, MIDI in. Much better. What I'm going to do here now is play this so that I can hear what I'm playing, record the MIDI into here, and then use the MIDI from here to play this back, if that makes sense. I don't have a negative feedback loop going on here at the moment because I don't have any MIDI going back. So now I can't hear anything because I need to come out of the force, switch the MIDI over here. So now the force is sending MIDI to the Sub37. Okay, so why would I want to record the MIDI into here first and then go back through here and play it this way? A couple different reasons. One, the advantage of doing so is that you can change the notes. Let's say I wanted to quantize it or something like that. Whereas before, when I recorded that audio in, that was it. That was a clean take. So once I worked out my notes, let's say I wanted to make some corrections to that, quantize it, whatnot, then I would come and hit record. Okay, so that's another example, was playing the MIDI notes, and I could change some other things on here to spice it up a little bit. So I go to my mixer, I got to turn this off so that it's playing the audio that's there, and the MIDI track, I'm going to go ahead and mute that one. Let's put the mother ducker on here. All right, I hope that was helpful in learning how you can use some external MIDI instruments with the Force and this kind of interplay between not just using them for MIDI, but using them for audio and kind of this back and forth relationship that can happen. And if you really enjoy this kind of content that I'm putting out, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. I'm going to be putting out all kinds of videos, not just ones on the Force, but about music production in general.